The dust hung thick in the air, clinging to sweat-soaked uniforms and settling on the cracked radios that lined the tent. Most soldiers barely noticed the quiet man hunched in the corner, fingers dancing across wires and dials. He was just the communications guy. That's what they called him. Just a man behind the curtain, carrying messages but never carrying glory. But on that night, when the line went dead and lives depended on a single voice, the quiet man revealed a code name no one expected. Shadow 4. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. His name was Daniel Cole. Soft-spoken, almost forgettable, the kind of man you passed in the chow line and never looked at twice. But inside, Daniel carried something heavier than the radios strapped to his back. He carried a past he had buried so deep, even his brothers in arms didn't know it existed. He told himself he was done with that world, done with the shadows, until the desert reminded him that some ghosts refused to stay silent. The base had been quiet until that night. Too quiet. Then, a burst of static across the line, cut short, jagged, urgent. Patrol Bravo was gone. No voice, no signal, no trace. The other soldiers glanced at one another, unease settling like a storm cloud. Daniel felt his pulse quicken. He twisted the dials, straining to hear, his ears sharp from years he never spoke of. Something in that static was off. Hidden. He leaned closer, and then he heard it. A buried frequency. A code almost lost beneath the chaos. His stomach dropped. It was a call sign. Not Bravo, not any team currently deployed. Shadow 4. For a moment the room fell away. His hands trembled. He hadn't heard that name in years, not since the missions that were never written down, the missions whispered only in classified halls. He thought he had walked away forever. But the voice in the static was his old team, his old life. And it was back. Daniel froze, torn between silence and truth. If he spoke, the questions would come. But if he didn't, men would die. His breath shook as he turned toward the officers. "General," he said, voice barely steady, "I need you to hear this." The tent grew still. Even the hum of the generator seemed to pause. Soldiers leaned in, suspicion and curiosity rippling through them. The general's eyes narrowed. "Repeat that." Daniel replayed the transmission, isolating the call sign only he knew how to find. The general's face hardened, then softened. Recognition flickered in his eyes like a flame reigniting after years in darkness. "Shadow 4, he whispered. Murmurs filled the tent. Who was this man? How did the quiet communications officer know a call sign buried in classified archives? The moral weight pressed heavy. Daniel had sworn never to return to that part of himself. He was the man who fixed radios, not the one who carried blades in the dark. But now the past demanded him. Lives hung in the balance. Could he walk away again? When the order came, it wasn't barked. It was given with reverence. "Shadow 4, assemble what you need." The general's voice carried not command, but respect. In that instant, the nameless man behind the radio became something else. Soldiers straightened, eyes wide, realizing they had shared bread with someone they would never again underestimate. What followed was not chaos, but precision. The rescue unfolded like a tide. Silent. Coordinated. The kind of operation only men forged in fire could execute. Daniel led with the calm of someone who had walked into shadows and returned. He found Bravo. He brought them back. And when the sun rose, streaking the desert in gold, the whispers in camp carried not mockery but awe. He was no longer just the communications guy. He was Shadow 4, and every soldier knew it. Because courage doesn't fade, it waits for the moment it's needed most. And sometimes, the quietest man in the room carries the loudest truth. If this story moved you, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the silent strength around us. Your voice keeps these stories alive.